hate to say it, I feel like we don't have to think about it as much. If you're not a Christian, or if you are a Christian but you're dating a man that doesn't go to church, you don't have to worry as much about if he's going to weaponize the Bible against you, if he's going to spiritually abuse you. It happens a lot of times, and I feel like this is not addressed enough. When you go through something traumatic, or when you go through something that is unprecedented for what other people in your age group are going through, sometimes with you not knowing how to maneuver those situations, you make terrible life choices. You think you've gone through some things with your church, but I promise you, this book will have you realizing some people have had it way worse and they overcame it. There were so many parts in this 70-page book that had me feeling like, girl, did you toss in the towel yet? People will feel like, I'm not going to pray because I didn't get the job interview I wanted. I'm not going to pray because I didn't get the car that I thought I was going to the dealership to go and get. People will toss in the towel for things that are so minute. When I say this person here kept praying and praying and praying, even at moments where I was like, stop praying. The answer's in front of you. Like, you need to just stop praying. Y'all, this book was insane, because you have a woman where she gets pregnant for the first time at 14 years old. And she kind of is struggling with focusing on school. She's also focusing on trying to raise her son. She decides ultimately to give her son to the grandparents. So not her mother and father, but the baby father's parents. So his name is Tom, right? She's feeling terrible because her mother did the same thing with her. So it's almost a situation of feeling like generational curses are still continuing. She does give the baby over to Tom's family. She sees the baby on the weekends, and she discusses how when it's time to walk away and leave her child, it is extremely tough. And I can only imagine what that's like. I became a parent at the age of 21. 14, that is super young, and it's I can't even imagine. That's one of those situations where you can't even be like, oh, well, if you didn't want to get pregnant, you shouldn't do this and that. You never know how a person got pregnant. Okay, so she continues on with her life. She's trying to balance having a job. She's trying to balance this and that. But what happens a lot of times, and I feel like this is not addressed enough, when you go through something traumatic, or when you go through something that is unprecedented for what other people in your age group are going through, sometimes with you not knowing how to maneuver those situations, you make terrible life choices. And at the time, it feels like, this is just what I'm doing for this weekend. I'm just turning up this weekend. Like, we just got lit this weekend. And then it's, you know what? Next weekend, it's, we had so much fun this weekend. Shoot, why don't we go ahead and hit that spot again? In the moment, you really don't realize that you are derailing your life. You're making decisions that you're not going to be able to come back from. And sometimes when you do realize that, it makes you turn up even harder, because you're trying not to deal with those emotions and feelings. If you've been through it, you've been through it, you understand. If you don't understand, if you're still like, oh my God, I just don't understand how y'all be putting yourself in crazy positions, and then y'all dig the hole even deeper, just keep on living. Okay, just give it some time. Just keep on living. This woman goes on. She gets married. Her first husband, she has a gut feeling of, I don't really know if I should do this. I feel like I'm seeing signs that we shouldn't do this, but I'm going to go through with it. I'm going to put my faith in God. I'm going to see what happens. Y'all, as someone who had that kind of that feeling occurred a week before I got married of, I'm not sure if this is a good idea. There's a thin line between cold feet and this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And the line is so thin, I don't even feel like it exists at this point. If you ever have a true feeling, this is not what I should be doing, not the nervousness of like, I'm a little unsure, I don't know if I should release this book, I don't know if I should say this and that in this video. That is a separate feeling from every time I think about this situation I'm getting ready to walk into, I am truly thinking I should not do it. If you ever have those feelings, it doesn't matter how much money you spend on the wedding already. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on your dress. Do not hesitate to walk away, because sometimes you sign up for some stuff, you end up in more debt. The amount that it's going to cost for counseling after, for a divorce, for lawyers, for figuring out how am I going to move to this house, who's going to move to that house. It costs more, way more than that $1,500 deposit that you put down for the wedding venue. Just give it up. It's okay to take a loss. It's okay. And it's all right to start all over again. I loved how this book touched on too, and I'm not even sure if it was the author's intent. Y'all, divorce is not the end of the world. It is not the end of the world. Do not let these podcast bros, podcast girlies, boss babes, whoever, don't let people make you feel like if you get a divorce, your life is just over. No one's gonna want you. Oh, everyone's gonna laugh in your face. People laugh when you're doing good. People laugh when you're doing bad. If you and your partner both know this marriage is going nowhere, we've tried, or if it's I've tried, I've done everything I could do. I've prayed, I've begged. It feels like I'm not getting an answer. And this has been going on for months, years. File for divorce. It's okay. Do not lose yourself in the process. Do not lose yourself. It's not going to be the end of the world. You won't be the last person who got divorced. It's all right. Life will go on. I promise you. When she meets her second husband, first of all, let's talk about the fact that there be people at church that be having good intentions and they really should just keep their mouth shut. There are so many times where you will see, and I feel like it happens a lot with the church women, especially after a certain age, the church women that be in their 40s, 50s, maybe even 60s, that like to meddle. Oh, girl, you're single. You know, you have a baby. You got to have someone to help you raise these kids. Charles across the church, he's never been married, or he's been married. He has 2 kids. Girl, y'all would be good for each other. If God did not tell you that Charles was going to be good for you, do not take the advice of these church women and start considering a man that you never considered before. Drop a comment if you guys have ever seen someone sign up to be in a relationship or start dating a man off of the pastor's recommendation, the church lady's recommendation, the deacon saying, hey, Brother Carl, you're getting 32. You ain't had no kids. What's going on? You like men? Don't let people gaslight you into an arrangement that you know for a fact it wasn't your idea. Because what happens is you might be signing up for Satan himself. Don't let nobody else sit here and give you the idea of even going on a date with someone that you never considered. There's a reason that it wasn't placed on your heart. There's a reason you never considered that person before. It's probably not who you're supposed to be with. Y'all, I blame the church women, and it's to the point, it's 2025. The church members need to start being held accountable. Okay? When people come to the pastor or whoever in church, and when they say, me and so are thinking about getting married, we think we like each other. How responsible do you guys feel like the pastor or whoever that did the premarital counseling, how responsible do you guys feel like these people should be when the marriage is already failing within a year? And not talking about marital issues of you guys are just having spats and disputes and you guys are having a hard time. When you're realizing that this person morally and ethically is a 1,000 degree difference than what you thought you were signing on for. At what point do we start holding the church members accountable? Ultimately, yes, it was the 2 individuals who got married. That is on them. But I feel like, why don't we talk about this enough? Because that plays a role in church hurt. When people are experiencing their husband is cheating on them and the church is just like, girl, just keep praying. He'll figure it out. Or when a husband is like, oh my gosh, my wife spends all the money. I'm busting my behind. I'm working overtime. I barely get to see my kids, but my wife just will not stop spending the money. And the deacons and the ushers are telling him, just pray about it, man. Just pray. We need more. We need more. We need more than the just pray about it in churches today. I'm sorry. We need more resources. We need more dating conversations, and not just the 5-minute sector of stuff that happens at the women's conferences. No, as a whole, as a church, I feel like we need more. These are signs to look out for to make sure that your husband does not spiritually abuse you so that you don't end up married and he's like, well, the Bible said, and he's guilting your fear of divorce and your fear of sinning by stepping away from this marriage to make you stay in a situation that you know you are literally dying spiritually, mentally, and emotionally in. Your blood pressure is through the roof, but you keep getting told, just pray about it. Because maybe the pastor does not want to be held accountable for marrying 2 people that he knew he probably shouldn't have did that. Like, how does that work? How does it work? There's a person in this book named Sarah. At one point, the lady and her second husband, they do get married. There's a woman in the church and her name is Sarah. she starts coming around a lot because at this point, the woman is the first lady of the church. And again, she wasn't even sure if this is what they should be doing in starting a whole new church. I have always said, I don't want to be the first lady of anybody's church. I don't want to. I literally wrote a book, The Pastor in Temptation, as a joke about what happens when a woman who never really wanted to be a first lady and now she is the first lady of a church. I don't want to do it. I hope that's not my ministry. I really hope that does not occur for me. Okay? Because the stuff that this woman dealt with in this book of this woman keeps calling her husband, and yes, he's the pastor, but he keeps calling and calling. At first, it's about, can you pray for me, this and that? And it's 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. Can you pray for me? The pastor has to take those calls. But what happens when you're hearing your husband have these conversations with this woman and it's late hours in the night? It don't got nothing to do with church. But he's the pastor. So what are you supposed to say? What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to be the first lady. You're supposed to be a praying, supportive wife. I'm not built for it. I'm not first lady material, not with where I'm standing today. Okay? I'm still trying to control my face expressions. I can't do it. And there were so many moments where I was like, girl, stand up. Just stand up. Please leave this man. And I was like, I know she's going to leave her husband in this chapter. We would be 2 chapters later. I'm not going to let Sarah take my husband from me. Take him? Ma'am, that is y'all husband. That's y'all man. That is y'all man. Take him. You're making it sound like she took the extra M&Ms that was left in the candy jar. This man is not listening to you, y'all. At what point do you step away from your marriage, pastor, church going or not? When you're telling your husband, this woman makes me feel uncomfortable, and your husband's like, you need to relax. How long do you stay in that marriage as a Christian or non-believer? Because I'm going to tell you something one time. You heard me the first time. I'm going to talk to you maybe 2 times if I'm really, really trying to get through to you, because it seems like you're self-sabotaging, and I'm trying to make sure that you don't, I'm giving you rope, but you're about to turn it into noose, okay? How many times do you tell your husband his interactions with this woman, I don't feel comfortable? When I say scandals like this happen in the church all the time and it tears churches apart, this book highlighted on so many different things. Even if you're not a church-going individual, if you don't believe in God, this is a book that will have you, if I learned nothing else, and if I remembered nothing else from this book, you have to be mindful of the people you sign up to have around you. Just because you seem compatible with this person, just because they come to church as much as you, they might do Bible study with you, your pastor might even be advocating for them. Make sure that you are more than confident that this is what you want to do. And I hate to say it, I feel like we don't have to think about it as much. If you're not a Christian, or if you are a Christian but you're dating a man that doesn't go to church, you don't have to worry as much about if he's going to weaponize the Bible against you, if he's going to spiritually abuse you. There is something about the aspect of having a Christian marriage that if that man knows the Bible back and forth, maybe even a little bit better than you, but he's a demon at heart and he got a real bad spirit on him, girl, it's going to look like the Tyson and Jake Paul fight. It's going to be to the point where that man is tapping you. And it's to the point where even when he taps you, you know that it's not even full force. You know that he really could be hitting you 5 times harder, but you still in the ring and you still fighting and you still fighting. And then after the match is over and people are like, is this going to be your last fight? You're like, oh no. Leave the marriage. It's okay to pack stuff up and leave. I absolutely love this book. It's available with Kindle Unlimited. I love me a good book that's under 100 pages. I love a book that talks about the realities of what can occur in church, the realities of what can occur in marriage. You also have this author, it wasn't like a victim, oh my God, woe is me story. It did not read like that at all. It very much so read as I made decisions that ended up jeopardizing certain opportunities at times. It put me in a bad position at times. This is what accountability looks like when it comes to being a woman, a mother, um, a wife. This book is accountability. If you ever wanted to see what that looks like, you can find it in 70 pages in this book. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments if you've already read this book. I absolutely adore it again. For me, it is a 5-star read. I hadn't read a book by this author before, so I didn't know what to expect. I believe it's available in paperback as well.